have Hillary Clinton. Joining us now, Victor Davis Hanson, one of our favorites. He's National Review Institute Fellow, writer-thinker on issues that we care about, immigration and border enforcement, globalization. And he joins us now. Victor, great to talk to you. How are you?
Pretty good, Laura. Thank you for having me.
Let's talk about what Hillary said last night. This was rank identity politics. Yeah, she lodged the insults at Trump, mostly very personal insults. And it was all about, well, we should build bridges, Victor, not walls. I mean, how many times can we hear that old trope?
We're going to hear it a lot more. And Trump has he has two chances to win this, Laura. He's got to do two things, and one is keep pounding that she's the most ethically compromised and intellectually dishonest candidate we've seen, and he's starting to do that. But there should be no, for all the pros and cons about the judge and all that, all these things are distractions that they're using, and he's got to focus on that. And the other thing he needs to focus on is, this is a populist campaign. The illegal immigration appeals to African Americans, Mexican American citizens whose schools are impacted, whose jobs and wages have been affected. This is a populist campaign. Illegal immigration can be an issue that appeals to people across ethnic lines. It's the elites that are against it in both parties. And the same thing with jobs. And when he does that, as he did in the primary, he soars. And when he gets sidetracked by these other issues, partly because he's responding to these shotgun attacks, and then he gets off message. So if he can stay on economic and social populism that makes ethnic identity irrelevant and sort of inclusive, and that's a really good issue for illegal immigration and trade and all that, and he can hammer Hillary. Bill Clinton was the highest paid chancellor, if you could use that word, in the history of American education, raking in $16 million for 4 years for 8 speeches at Lorient, this pay-for-profit, profit for pay, or whatever you want to call it, university. That's a really good issue. Or when Hillary talks about income equality, as she did yesterday in the $12,000 Armani suit, that's just a softball pitch for Trump. This is a corrupt campaign, and I just wish that he gets on economic populism and...
Well, he talked about that last night.
He did. You're absolutely right.
I thought the speech was like something you would have written or I would have written.
That was the best. Don't you agree, though? That was the best speech I've heard.
I tweeted that as it was as he was concluding. I said it was the best speech of the campaign.
No, it was.
And all those issues that you've been writing about for years, all the issues that I've been talking about for years and writing about, he hit every single one. Corruption in Washington, open borders, bad trade deals, globalization, disaster for the middle class. He hit all of it.
No, he did. If he can just continue to do that, two things will happen. He will peel off 25 or 30% of the minority vote, because I see Mexican Americans that I live with that are sick and tired of illegal immigration because it affects their schools, it affects their jobs, it affects driving when they have to deal with people with no license, no registration. It's an issue that if it's done right is a populist issue. Same with outsourcing jobs, and he will get the Reagan Democrats. He'll get 30% or so of the minorities, and he will put the never-Trump conservatives in an untenable position if he can continue to stay on message like he did yesterday.
Yeah, on Friday I said the judge comment was, I know what he was saying. He was saying the judge,
I did too.
And people, and as I pointed out so many times, this is my old litigator days. You have a reason to strike jurors for you don't have to give your reason to strike a certain number of jurors in peremptory challenges. And same thing, then you have for cause challenges. And that judge would have been struck by any lawyer. If that judge were up for jury pool, would have been struck by the Trump
you're
counsel.
Absolutely right. And any judge who was a member of something called the Race Lawyers Association, who was ruling on a controversial person who was in immigration controversies, who was white and belonged to something called the Race Lawyers, he would have had to be disqualified. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that Sotomayor has said racist and stereotype things about wise Latinas and white males. Everybody knows that Barack Obama, just the other day when he was introducing his new nominee, said that, sorry, he's a white guy, but he's talented. But the point is that when you get into that contextualization, you miss this economic populism message of Trump. And that's when he got back onto it. If he can stay on that, he will, I think he'll win back a lot of the people who are sort of promenading around that they'll never vote for him.
I want to play a soundbite for you. This is Lindsey Graham, he was never Trump. and then he was kind of for Trump, and now this was Lindsey yesterday.
I don't feel comfortable with what Mr. Trump is saying, not only about this judge, but the way he's campaigning, his policy positions regarding Muslims. I just think Mr. Trump is taking the country and the party in the wrong direction, and I will be no part of it.
He'll be no part of it, which is a good thing from our perspective, Victor. That couldn't be better news. I mean, the last thing I want to hear from at the convention is Lindsey Graham, because he took our country in the wrong direction.
Well, I don't think what they realize is that the Bob Dole and McCain and Romney that we all voted for more or less got 46, 47% of the vote. So here comes Trump with a ball and chain. He waves it around his head, and he throws it into the screen and says the whole thing is corrupt, and I'm going to start over. And that needed to be done. And it was absolutely brilliant, because he's saying the Republican establishment, people in Congress, have aided and abetted. It goes back to all the Republican elites who went over to Obama's special party right before he was inaugurated and said, this guy's got a first-class temperament, he's great.
David Brooks.
So all of them. There's
lots of them.
Lots of them. And now they're lecturing people. So what Trump has to do, he's destroyed that establishment for good or evil. He's destroyed it.
They're never coming back. And that's what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
think so.
Paul Ryan yesterday saying it's textbook racism. I said, okay, well, you just helped Hillary Clinton cut a campaign commercial. Now, how is that going to help your reform agenda for Hillary Clinton to be president, Paul?
It's not. So he's destroyed it. But what he needs to do now is say, you know what? This is going to be an economic policy, just like we were talking a minute ago. And that's what he needs to do. And then he's got to hammer Hillary, because each moment that he loses any soundbite about Hillary, it's a loss, because this is really a corrupt, evil person. And whether it's Benghazi and the way she treated the families, or this pay-for-play Clinton Foundation, or the $200 million they made, or $300,000 for 30 minutes at a university for a speaking fee, or the Wall Street text of these speeches she gave. It's a really rich landscape for Trump to explore, and he doesn't have a lot of time to do it. And I know that we have 4 or 5 months, but he really needs to hammer that every day, and then appeal to people. On a populist. Populism is what the establishment has never tried, and I think if he were to try it as he did last night, continually, and as he did in the primaries, he'd do pretty well.
Yeah, clearly there are people like Marco Rubio, McConnell, Paul Ryan, who just won't see the writing on the wall. They reject economic populism, a more nationalistic foreign policy. They reject it. They're grudgingly going along with Trump, but they're rejecting the change that's occurred in the Republican Party, and they don't know it yet, perhaps, but they're never coming back. They are never coming back as a national movement. Never. Not in our lifetime. I don't see it happening. Do you?
No, I don't. And I saw a whole generation of people in agriculture completely wiped out by unfair trade with the European Union. And every time I would write about it, I was told that I didn't understand free market economics. And same thing with China, and same thing with outsourcing. I grew up in a small town where everybody had a good job at a manufacturing plant.
Me too.
And now it's 16% unemployment. I'm supposed to say this is creative destruction. And I read in my own magazine that I've affiliated that this is good, that people lose jobs, they have to move, they read
Kevin
the paper.
Williamson, and David French. They should all die off, these people.
You just abandon your family, your house, everybody, your community, and then you just get in a car and follow the jobs. And then I think to myself, I get up every morning at the Hoover Institution. I don't worry that somebody from the Punjab is going to walk in my office and say, I'll write that column for 40% of what you're doing. And same thing with these lawyers and people in the media. But a lot of people feel that way. I know people in Silicon Valley that are being outsourced right now by people coming in on visas. But this elite has never suffered the consequences of their own ideology. And this is why they hate Trump. And Trump is making it easy. What's frustrating, Laura, is that he's making it easy because he's getting off topic. He can't get off topic because that empowers the never Trump people. And they'll say, see, he got into a sideshow about the judge, even though the merits were very complex. And I think in the long run, he had the stronger argument against identity politics, but that was lost in the
shuffle of the
media. It was. And
they're just waiting for these moments, and he can't give them a bat to hit him over the head with. I want to play a soundbite from last night. This was from Trump's victory speech where he was turning the tables on Clinton.
The Clintons have turned the politics of personal enrichment into an art form for themselves. They've made hundreds of millions of dollars selling access, selling favors, selling government contracts, and I mean hundreds of millions of dollars.
And he went on to say she kept a lot of this secret on this private server, kept her corrupt dealings out of the public record, and put the nature of our security at risk in our country because of her cover-up of her corruption. I think that is really powerful.
Well, there's no answer to it, Laura, because what is Hillary going to say? That we're not worth $200 million, that the Clinton Foundation didn't do this, that Bill Clinton didn't get $16 million for a quote-unquote chancellorship with Lawrence University, that she didn't, she said she just did what every other Secretary of State. Not one has ever had a personal server, that she didn't delete over 30,000. There's no answer to it. And she knows that, so she's got to go on this identity politics stuff, and Trump's got to find a strategy where it just goes off his back like water off a turtle. And I hope he can do it. But,
what do you say to the Jeb Bush and McConnell and all these people saying Trump has to do a mea culpa, mea maxima culpa speech about the judge?
No, I don't think he does. I think he has to say to people, to the extent that he does, it's just that I'm trying to get a message out to people that you people have ignored. Sometimes I do it awkwardly, and I'm not going to do it awkwardly anymore and just watch. And then he's got to avoid. These are IEDs that the Identity Politics Group have just buried under his road to the convention. If he steps in them, he loses 2 to 3 days of really valuable airtime, and he can't afford that because he doesn't have any help. There's not going to be anybody, Laura, writing in the Weekly Standard. Not that they're that important, but cumulative, the Wall Street Journal, National Review, they do add up a little bit. And he's not going to have any help from those people. He's going to have derision. So he's got to find a way to counteract that and to make it, nullify it. And if he has that message that he gave that we just listened to, that you just played, it's very hard for somebody from the National Review or Weekly Standard to say, I hate what he said, because it's logical. And that's his really ace card. That I really don't think these people in October and November, if he keeps up this, are going to say, wow, I'm going to vote for Hillary, or I'm going to do something that it's going to be, I'm going to empower Hillary by not voting. It's going to be untenable for them to do that if you hear that message every day.
Well, and the Weekly Standard apparently now has an open letter begging Mitt Romney to run. I don't even know what to say. I mean, you just have to laugh at some point because, and I know you work for National Review, and I love a lot of the people at National Review, as you know. But, I mean, people just have to wake up. I mean, I don't know what to say. We're losing the country. We will lose this country. I know there's hard feelings. I know people are upset. I know Donald Trump is not a perfect vessel for all the things that a lot of people love and care about. But he is the choice of the party. And we know for sure what Hillary Clinton will do to America. So,
well, it's 16 years. People forget that. It'll be 8 years of Obama, and she'll get reelected, and it's 8 years of her. So you have 16 years of this, and it's not the old Democratic Party. It's this wacky progressive identity, radicalized. It'll destroy the country. And then when people talk about their integrity and not in my name, I'm thinking, you're going to empower the 16-year rule. Well, how can you do that? And, it's a very self-righteous argument that we've gotten, and I've lost a lot of friends over it. I really have. Yeah. People are very angry, and it's not going to end well, Laura, with the Republican Party.
No. Well, it had to come to this, and I for one, I'm glad to see where everyone stands. I feel very liberated by it. So, VDH, always great to have you on. Thank you so much.